shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. See the horizon, turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on till I get up, time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
and I hated it.
That just seems like a lot of wood.
I'm just gonna eat the
Were
pie
they
I
were
made.
they even good?
Yeah, they were good, but
Did
I'm just gonna eat the pie that I made for dinner for the rest of the week.
Keto pie?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nerd Vomit, Season 1, Episode 4.
Hello.
Tonight we have Lena St. Diaz with us once again.
Hi.
Welcome to our show. Hi.
Hi.
Are you excited to be on the show again?
I am. I'm excited for this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have lots of interesting, well, not lots of interesting, but we have a really good topic to talk about this week. Women, it is Women Histories Month. This is our Women's History Month edition.
Mm-hmm.
Women that'll beat your ass and make you say thank you. So we just want to welcome everybody for coming and hanging out with us today, or tonight, I guess we should say. We did have some prize winners for a prize winner, I guess I should say. There was just one for last week's Rise logo. And last week's Rise logo was actually located in our, in my Unicorn Tears drink dispenser over here behind me, to the diagonal of me, I guess, behind me a little. And that winner was Linka. And she was actually a winner before, too. So you guys, you are slacking. If you want to win something, a nice, fun prize, please get those please get those guesses in. This week, you will have to find the Rise logo once again. We won't tell you where it's at. Oh, wait, that's cheating. Each week we hide it, so you can have a look around the set, see if you can find it, and you get a prize. And we will announce those winners in next week's episode. Sorry. So we do for the prize this week. It is a 1,000 Linden gift card to Backbone. Yes, so that's exciting. Mm-hmm. So if you find it this week, please let us know on Twitter. I will do a shout out on the Nerd Vomit Show Twitter. If you're not following, please give us a follow at Nerd Vomit Show, and let us know where that logo is for sure. So how are you doing tonight, Lena?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Slightly tired, but
I think it's just the week to be tired a little bit, yeah? I don't know, I'm feeling tired too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. How's everything else going with you? How's your Women's History Month going?
It's been going quite well. Mostly uneventful. So that's better than nothing.
That's better than nothing, for sure.
I think during Women's Month,
I'd rather be uneventful than having drama, right?
Mm-hmm. During Women's Month, I feel like it's probably best to relax anyway. So
yeah, take care of yourself. All you ladies out there, make sure you're taking care of yourself. So obviously today we are talking about the little, Women's History Month edition. We're just to kind of like open up the topic here. We are talking about comic books and the women that appear in the comic books. But we thought before we started on that, we could talk a little bit about the DC versus Marvel comics. So like some of the differences between the two comics. Those are the major comics. Wouldn't you agree, Lena, or what do you think?
I think so. I think later we'll get into some other fun stuff. But other than that, I think most people know DC and Marvel comics the best, and
Yeah,
sticking to those is a wise choice.
So So we have some comparisons between Marvel and DC, and some of those comparisons we can just like, there's just a few that we had listed. We found some research on those, and we can kind of like talk to you guys if you guys know of any of your own comparisons of the two. We would love to hear from you. Also, we would love to hear if you think that maybe our information is incorrect. I mean, I'm totally up for not all the resources you find is always going to be correct. So we are totally up for some debates here. So one of the ones that I had found was that DC superheroes have to fight madness. So the villains who are completely out of their range is what it said. So like Joker, who is absolutely like insane and cannot be reasoned with. Do you find that that's correct or accurate, Lena?
I think so. I think a lot of the
heroes have to.
I think a lot of the villains and hero or not heroes, or a lot of the villains and foes are very mentally unstable.
Do you find that's just DC, or do you think that that is also Marvel as well?
I feel like Marvel, usually they typically have a plan, and it's not really born out of a mental illness.
That makes complete sense to me. Let's see here. And then the other one, they were saying that going up against villains like this puts a deep strain on the superheroes at DC because they are constantly being put up against seemingly like unstable odds, and the villains are beyond their capture. Like they can never be captured. Is what it's kind of like. Always like this chase. We would like to hear what you guys think for sure on that one. And then Marvel superheroes have to fight planets. Do you think that's true or false?
That's typically true. Like when we look at characters like Star-Lord and Captain Marvel, they're always away somewhere, helping another race with war.
For sure. And let's see. Another one of the topics was that DC superheroes are incredibly powerful. I think they're both pretty powerful, right?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah. Like DC superheroes, their abilities are forcefully strong. But I kind of feel like they all have their own strengths, DC and Marvel. What do you guys think? Some of our viewers, you guys are kind of quiet tonight. How you doing? Let's get some conversation going. Let's see. All right. So Marvel superheroes are more attainable. Would you agree with that?
Attainable in what sense?
So, for example, Captain America were once the small Steve Rogers, a regular guy from Brooklyn who just wanted to do the right thing. So I feel like maybe attainable, like you can, I would say.
I guess so, but I don't know. I never really get love interests for superheroes. I feel like they're a bit too busy. Like Carol Danvers, too busy for that shit.
So like Wonder Woman is a god, Superman is an alien, Aquaman is how do you say it, Atlantean. So they're like beyond the grasp of mere men, Nobody can go out and like become a god or an alien, but somebody could possibly go out and be, like these abilities are more attainable, they're saying, for DC. Like you can, they're more like Captain America. He's not a god or an alien, right?
He isn't, but he is
Mm-hmm.
altered in some way. So I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So they're basically saying that it's a simply humans with abilities, not superpowered alien, monstrosities. And let's see, Marvel superheroes are actually relatable. Do you think that Marvel superheroes are relatable?
I guess it depends on who you're talking about. I don't
Mm.
think that Tony Stark is the most relatable guy, right?
You can't relate to a billionaire? Come on.
I mean, oh yeah, we have plenty in common. Yeah.
I mean, you're diamonds over here. Come on. Like
Yeah, but not billions worth.
Mm. So Marvel superheroes are far more relatable and seem a lot more people-like is what I had gathered from this research that I had done on from a website that we had checked out earlier on the differences between. So when an average person thinks of a character like Darth Vader or Batman, they think of a symbol of them and not so much the man or the character. You think that makes sense? Alice says, I think they are.
So. Mm-hmm.
Alice says, I think they are, but strong. But we knew who Marvels are. DC, we never knew who they were, like Batman. What do you mean by that, Tala? Like who they were before?
You mean like secret identities?
Oh, okay, gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, let us know. Secret identities, definitely, I would agree that you don't know who they are, if that's what you are referring to. DC superheroes try to fight on their own, where you see more Marvel kind of teaming up.
I feel like that's accurate. Yeah, a lot of the DC heroes are loners.
Mm-hmm. I mean, who would be like a number one DC loner?
A number one DC loner?
Mm-hmm.
Batman doesn't have many friends, does he?
I mean, he has some friends. Like I think they fight on their own. It's more about like Superman. He fights on his own. He doesn't depend on like a team.
Right. So does Wonder Woman. But like, I think Batman was on his until he got his fucking boy sidekick.
Yeah. His boy sidekick. Yeah. Tala says that true identities are hidden. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good separation. The Justice League. Justice League is DC universe, but it's not the be all, the end of the storytelling, I guess. Spider-Man. Yes, he does. Spider-Man. Oh yeah, you're making some good points, Jordan. Let's see here. And then DC superheroes get powers from the outside, where Marvel superheroes have inherent abilities. What do you guys think about that?
I feel like that's accurate. DC always are like falling in a vat of something. I mean, I guess Spider-Man was bitten by a venomous spider. So he counts as an outside, something.
So it may not fit like it may not fit everything. Like every superhero. Okay. So those are some of our differences. I mean, some of them we agree with, some of them we don't, but I think that's with everything. You guys have any thoughts or anything to add? We would love to hear from you. Let us know in the chat here. If you guys watch this later, let us know on Twitter, like what are some important differences between DC and Marvel, for sure. What do we got next?
I think we want to talk about like some new comics that are either ones that we know of people personally or just things that that have been in development and I don't think are super popular right now.
Yeah, so one of the ones that I just found out had come out on the 24th of March was Alien. I thought that was kind of cool. Like this new, they are making their first appearance with Alien. Marvel, it's a Marvel debut. Basically, you guys all know it's alien attack, barely surviving, almost literally. This guy, Cruz, is trying to patch things up with his abandoned son to help his friend out. And lots of interesting, scary things are happening. So it's a science horror and science fiction comic. And it's something that, has scared people for decades. And they're finally, having this debut, Marvel debut. So I think that's really cool. That was one that I wanted to point out for sure.
Yeah.
And then we found Carnage, right?
Yeah,
he's
tell me
making
about
his
that because I don't think we went too much into it earlier.
Yeah, so Carnage, he made his first appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man, right? And I think it was number 344. And so basically, so he's an offspring of Venom. And they did make the movie of Venom, as you guys all know. And so he's very compatible with Joker. Like basically, it's about, it's basically his own comic book coming out and coming alive. In the movies, in Venom, the movies, Woody Harrelson plays him. And I just think that that's like a perfect match for this crazy, like, sadistic personality, like this crazy, like violent tendencies. Woody Harrelson is like probably a perfect match for him. I think he would, he plays a really good version of this guy. So that's called Carnage, Black, White, and Blood. The #1 edition was published on the 24th, so 2 days ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
Speaking of Woody Harrelson, he's going to be in the new Suicide Squad.
Nice.
Is he going? I don't know which character he's playing, but it doesn't look too exciting, but I'm excited about him.
I do like Woody Harrelson. He's a good actor, in my opinion. I agree. I definitely think he's diverse. He's got that ability to play different roles for sure. Yeah. And then we also have another one that is probably, like I'm not a huge comic book nerd or anything like that, but I do know some of my things. And one of the things I do know is that our very own Jordan Rizzo has actually created a comic book with help of Rise Production. On his, gathering some people around to help him, create this amazing comic book. It's super interesting. I mean, everybody should check it out. We have a link that we can pop into the, hopefully maybe our producer can pop it into the chat for us.
Yes.
If not, we can put it on Twitter later. But it's called Bedlam. And in Bedlam, it is a post-apocalyptic future. The world has become a desert wasteland where citizens are forced to constantly fight for survival. I mean, that's just exciting all in one. So whether you're fighting for food, drink, or shelter, from the red waters, a mutated form of harmful algae that falls from the sky. In Bedlam, it's not only the wicked who find no rest. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's very exciting. Definitely check it out and see what it's about for sure. It's it's basically about this guy who's risking his life to protect this tiny pouch, and throughout the whole comic you don't even know what's in this tiny pouch.
I love this.
But you get to watch him go from like one deadly situation to the next, all the while keeping that pouch safe. So he's got, he's protecting this with his life, and he's going through, so many different challenges. So I think it's interesting.
I love
Hopefully,
secret little pouches.
Yeah, keeps you wondering what's inside. And so that's really interesting too. And didn't you have a comic that you wanted to talk about as well?
The Marauders, they are a mutant warrior and assassins team. But the old Marauders, when they were originally written, they were employed by X-Men's enemy, Mr. Sinister. And but the new Marauders are led by Kitty Pryde, and they're funded by Emma Frost. And
nice.
they are on more so the mystique side of things, which is protecting mutants and giving them refuge.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
So
you said it's female based, right?
Yeah, they have like I said, Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost, and some of the writers that are on this comic are women. But it was started in 2019, and they're still making new comics. And Marvel has like a whole list of the comics that they've produced for the Marauders on their website.
Nice. Yeah, make sure you guys definitely check those out. Get that, check out these new comics. Check out Jordan's comic. I mean, Alien and Carnage. I mean, we've only touched base on a few of them. We didn't want to sit here and bore you guys with just like a list of them. We just wanted to kind of like point out some that really piqued our own interest, and some that we found, that we liked personally. But talking about, females in comics, that kind of leads us into our discussion of tonight. We kind of talked about a little bit about comics already, but our main topic of tonight was women in comics, and we're here to celebrate Women's History Month, as we've already said a couple of times now. One of the main things that we wanted to talk about was just kind of like women, like the history of comics, basically, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what are we going to touch base on? Like, do you want to kind of give them like a little startup of what we're going to talk about here?
Yeah. So like we're just gonna get into like things that catapulted women in comics. And we're gonna talk about basically one of the women who started the bikini armor. And then go ahead.
Oh, I was just agreeing. Yep.
And then we're going to talk about I guess our first topic, which is the Comics Code Authority.
So basically, before we get into the Comics Code Authority, or the Comic Authority Code, sorry. Basically, prior to this, we've been looking around into, some information, but as everybody knows, women there's a whole huge discussion about, are women sexualized in comics, and is there sexism in comics? We've, back in the day, it was like super sketchy. And it's getting better now, with time is coming on, as time progresses and everything, things are getting more to where women are being painted in a better light, and, they're more like empowering and positive. But back in the day, like, they were very, women were becoming too sexualized, and they were degraded, and they were being posed in awkward positions. And like, what do you think about this? Like, do you feel like this was just the poses that they were taking on? These men have these stances with their bodies, like these power stances, the superhero stance, but women are posed like with their asses, like, poking out and their backs curved, and things like that. Like, is this something that, are we just saying that women are sexualized but men are also, or men, or is this something that is just sexism against women? Like, what do we think here? We really want to get the feedback of the audience too. What was mentioned before, the comic authority code, do you want to tell them a little bit about that?
Sure. So the Comic Authority Code was established in 1954.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like on a voluntary basis. Publishing companies were not forced to follow this code, but it did get rid of any liability.
Mm-hmm.
It also came about because before then, there was a book written called Seduction of the Innocent, and they were concerned that comic books were making young boys homosexual and delinquent.
Homosexual criminals.
Yes, homosexual criminals. It's the gay agenda. Be gay and do crime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So they established this code to put more women in the comics, and then as the code was updated, also women were being too sexualized.
So basically in this code, there's a lot of like things to abide by. Like, you can't have like horror or terror in your title. You can't have women too sexualized. You can't a criminal cannot, you cannot create sympathy for a criminal. And you can't, like, you have to always give, like, you can't make the reader lose respect for policemen, judges, government officials, things like that. And nudity in any form is prohibited. Suggestive and illustration or posture is unacceptable. But this was all like not even something that, like you said before, it's not something that they had to abide by. Seduction and rape shall never be shown or suggested. These things obviously were still happening very much.
I think some of this had something to do with all their comics being burned publicly.
Yeah.
Probably like in some small town in Oklahoma.
Yeah, for sure. I think I read actually once, or not once, but I think I actually read this week that there was a burning in Oklahoma City of comics, or they were banning certain comic books where, it was, I don't know. Like, can you just imagine, like...
Okies don't like fun. That's it.
Hey, yeah, I just can't imagine. I mean, like, getting around and burning the comic books. I don't know. It just seems like some weird pastime, Like, you know. But getting back into the sexism of the comic books, there was a lot of talk about, why are women being put into outfits that are very sexualized, and why does Catwoman's suit not zip up all the way? Like, does her breast really need to be hanging out? Are we making these females more sexualized than the men? Like, there was a whole debate about, the men just as much sexualized because of the way that their suits, or their, what you call it, a suit, their costume or their suit hugs every single ab. Like, we would really love to hear what our viewers are thinking right now about this. And Lena, what do you think? Do you think that the women became too sexualized and degraded in comic books before?
I think that previously, like in the 1980s and 90s, there was a lot of unnecessary drawing of some of the women heroes in the comics. But I feel like, now they're updated and they're not so overtly and sexualized.
Well, you have like Catwoman, who, was more sexualized when the New 52 came out, right? So you have Catwoman who, like, through a whole comic book, she's like changing, And it's like, is that appropriate? Like, do we need to really see her changing all the time? Like, I don't
know. Not necessarily.
Yeah. Some of the outfits definitely. You found it earlier. Who was the one that came out with the first armored bikini? Do you remember her name?
Oh, yeah. That is Red Sonja. We'll get into her later, but
yeah. Yeah. Viewers, what do you guys think about these women in these costumes or these outfits? Do you think they necessarily need to be dressed like that to fight crime? Like, is this portraying an image to our was this portraying an image to our young readers, that you have to look like this to become a superhero, or was it just to target the male community? The young males.
I feel like originally they were making these images to kind of combat the gay, right? Like, they thought comics, because of, it was just a bunch of men and dudes in tights in the comic books, that it was making young boys gay. And so I think that they made these women, hypersexualized in the comics to, I guess, it'll just, curb the gay, I guess.
Sorry, that just kills me. Curb the gay. Let's curb the gay by making these over-sexualized women. I don't know if I completely 100% agree with that.
It's complete bullshit and garbage, but whatever.
I think that I don't know. I kind of feel like before people started assuming all those things about these gay criminal children, that I feel like I'm laughing because I just think it's hilarious and stupid.
Yes.
Not because I think it's anything particular that I agree with at all. I just think it's dumb. But I feel like women, in comics have been around for longer than we think. Wonder Woman wasn't the first female, comic appearance at all. So I definitely, you guys are really quiet tonight. I'm seriously wondering, are you awake, viewers? what are your thoughts about, women in comics? Like, for sure, like this is something that's really been up for discussion, and a lot of people have issues with this. I mean, I think now, we're doing better, like we talked about. There was also the issue of when they did the New 52, Amanda Waller, her character was completely like revamped.
Right.
She was this heavy set woman in the old comics, and now she's like revamped to be this hot, like fit, chick. Like, is that right? Like, what are your thoughts on that period? Like, is this a lot like, there was the whole like princess debate and the whole Barbie debate. Like, is this what we're trying to make our young readers believe, that it's okay? Like, this is what you have to look like? Or is it more like a heavy set woman is not going to be able to jump buildings and leap and do all this fighting crime? There's things that come into play. Yeah. I mean, what are your opinions? Like, what do you think? Like, do you think that they did this specifically because of that? Or do you think, like, should we see, different superheroes that are of different sizes and things like that? Or is this the image that superheroes are, like this, like men, like they're athletic, super built, they're able to, do these amazing things and kick ass? Like, what do you think?
Me or them?
You.
Well, I think Amanda Waller, she isn't a superhero character. She is an
Yeah, but she's still a female in the comics.
And I don't think it had anything to do with just because her body size didn't fit her job profile. I think it was just following suit to what they were doing, after the late 1960s, which was getting away from the comics authority code.
One of our readers, Shiloh, the comic industry was built by men for men. They didn't make it for women and didn't see women as people, so women were made to be objectified. Like, that's the male gaze.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that was retracted.
Thank you, Shiloh.
Yes, thank you, Shiloh, for your input. I'm sitting here making all these points and things like that, but I agree. Like, I feel like, it was the targeted audience was, young boys and young, that wanted to read comic books, and they wanted to read comic book about these, empowering guys that they could grow up to be like, and they wanted to see women in there. And we're going to get into another topic about women too, so about the women in comic books. But yeah, they wanted to see these women, I don't know, hot women, like they want to look at that. So what would you say are some of the superheroes that are overly sexualized?
So like She-Hulk, for the longest time, she was literally just green, in her ripped up clothes.
Like, why was she a monster?
Right. She definitely should have been a monster, exactly like, Bruce Banner. But whatever. And Harley Quinn is always overly sexualized. I think even today. Poison Ivy, Starfire. Starfire, just, she started off as a Teen Titan, and I don't know. her outfit.
That little like slingshot bikini thing, whatever she's wearing.
Yeah, it started off as the slingshot bikini, and now it's like the long sleeve crop top and the booty shorts. But
like,
suppose,
why would you put a teenager in? Jeez.
I mean,
Sorry,
I mean, it was Teen Titans. I suppose it was written for teenagers. But we're not gonna get into another discussion that we could. Anyways, besides Starfire,
that's like a whole other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic that we probably shouldn't go into.
Besides, like, the women just being over, there's one of the X-Men, Colossus, who was always overtly sexualized in some of his series too. Just like, women washing his giant metal body. Just like no reason.
Yeah. There was there was a scene in one of his comics where he's like in a shower, and the only thing that's covering him is just like the fog of the shower. And then you have Jason Momoa, who plays Aquaman in the movies. Like, I kind of feel like he was sexualized too, but he's just kind of a sexualized character all on his own.
People just sexualize him in general, but can you blame anyone?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, when he's walking out of that water and he's like brushing his hair back, come on now. Like,
what a gorgeous specimen.
So, some men are sexualized in comics for sure as well. I for one don't see it as often as the women have been, like, I think definitely women were more sexualized in the comic books, and even some of the movies, than men were. But it did happen with men as well. Yeah, for sure. So that kind of brings us into our next topic a little bit. I don't know how many of our viewers have heard of Women in the Refrigerator. It's a website, was created by and also, what was her name? I apologize. I had her written down. I do apologize, guys. Let's see. Gail. My brain just went bloop.
Miss Gail Simone.
Yes, thank you so much. Gail Simone. And she created this website because she found it particularly odd that women were being gruesomely tortured, or things were happening to these women that were just horrendous. A lot of women in comic books were dying, or were tortured, or even raped. Just these horrific things were happening to women. And the Women in the Refrigerator comes from the comic book Green Lantern. Basically, Major Force, he leaves a corpse of Kyle Rayner's girlfriend in literally stuffed into a refrigerator for him to find. And so basically this website is just a list, and we're going to name a few of the women who appear on the list. It's just a list of, well, why don't you tell them? What is this a list of?
This is just a list of women who have been murdered brutally, or just psychologically tortured in some way.
And they're either sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
They're either they're like sidekicks, love interests, best buddies. They're like it's not particularly it's not the main character, correct?
Right.
So Yeah, so basically on this website, you guys can check it out. It's called Women in Refrigerators. Basically, when something gruesome happens in a comic book, basically they've dubbed it as "she's been stuffed into the fridge." So yeah. So when a character dies, oh, she's been stuffed into the fridge, which is kind of morbid in its own. What are some of the ladies, or can you give us some of the ones that are on the list?
So like Aurora or Betty Banner or Mrs. Brian Banner, Black Canary, and then Scarlet Witch was on the list, but she was psychologically tortured with her children being murdered, and also just everything with Vision and her brother, and how her parents were killed. She's just got a lot going on. Trauma filled.
Right. So not every woman in comic book has been killed or depowered or crippled or turned evil or maimed or whatever.
But they're tortured in some way.
Yeah. And the list is long, and there's responses by creators. Some of the responses are very interesting, saying that the male list probably would have been just as long. Like you had mentioned Betty Banner. She was abused. She was changed into a harpy. She had multiple miscarriages. She was dead. And then she died. Did you mention Black Canary 1 and 2? Like dead, tortured, made infertile. Like these are some like serious like things that are happening to these women. And I don't necessarily believe or remember anything this extreme happening to men in comic books.
Just not maybe one of those things, maybe not all of them combined together.
Domino was kidnapped and tortured. You have Enchantress, who was turned evil and insane, depowered possibly. Firestar, her powers were sterilizing her. Sorry. So like, I don't know, like it's just some crazy stuff. Candy Southern, I don't know if you guys know who that is, dead. I mean, Dark, crippled, Dawn Allen, dead. I mean, the list just goes on and on, guys. It's insane. Aqua Girl, dead. Aurora, depowered. Batgirl, paralyzed. Batwoman, dead. I mean, it's just, yeah, it goes on and on and on. And there was one response by Dwayne McDuffie. He responded to this list. I mean, there's a ton of responses, but I picked a few. And Dwayne basically says that this is a very interesting site, and of course you're correct. He was basically saying how he is he's bothered that he is responsible for something that is on the list, the depowering of Captain Marvel. He has an excuse. He says that he said that it was to prevent her from looking like such an idiot. She was damn near an opponent. She always lost fights. He felt that he had to depower her to continue to portray her as competent. Of course, he said that we see how that turned out, but the truth is that his work on her still fits the pattern. And he says that maybe her page will embarrass enough folks in the industry that will start considering everything you're saying, and change the traits of killing off women or putting them through some gruesome things. Or maybe he says maybe it'll inspire women to take the reins and write some female characters who are not plot devices to complicate the hero's life. There was a quote by Batman in Justice League that said, "If my enemies knew I had someone special, they wouldn't rest until they had gotten to me through her." What do you think, Miss Lena?
You know, it's just a lot.
I mean, the quote itself. Like, what do you think about the quote? Do you agree with Batman?
Do I agree with Batman?
We have a whole discussion about Batman, but this particular quote about what he says is that if he had someone special, people would use her to get to him.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, but I mean, that's like expected, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think so. I think it would be expected for whether it was male or female. No, like if Wonder Woman, she had to worry about who was her mate.
Oh God, what's his name? Like Steve or something?
Yeah, but I mean, like female characters have to worry just as much about their their partners as males do. So I don't know. I mean, I just think that just comes with the territory. I don't necessarily know that gives excuse for what these women are going through. But it's a way to
just it just didn't sound like, the very best excuse one could give.
Yeah. I mean, I'm female, and I mean, like, I just think, if I'm thinking out loud here, if I wanted to get to somebody, I think one of the ways, you get to somebody that's close to them, but some people would argue that too. You don't go to the people who are close to them, you just go to them and take care of business. I guess, I don't know, I want to know what the viewers think. I've heard different things in the past, like why mess around with family when you can just go straight to the source,
For psychological torture, that's why.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. All right, so let's see here. What's next on our agenda?
We have to talk about some of the more questionable characters in some comic books.
The more questionable characters in the comic books, for sure. Would definitely be. Let's see here, we have Red Sonja and Stacy X Elektra. We also have let's see. One moment here. We have accidentally lost Lena. I think her mic is not working on the station. Okay. It's okay. So basically, I can just go ahead and talk about Stacy X here. Stacy X was a snake prostitute who was wearing. I mean, it's just very questionable that she was even created to just the whole situation around
Stacy.
Hello, Stacy. Yeah, the whole situation around Stacy X is just crazy. Her superpower is to give men orgasms. Yeah.
And that's about it. She wears a latex bikini. And she says it's not actually she's giving them orgasms, just she can control their pheromones, is what she says.
Seduction, right? Seduction.
Yeah. And then at
Yeah.
some point, Wolverine's giving her a big speech, and he's shaming her for being a sex worker. And she's not really developed at all. They just made a sexy snake character for the sole purpose of not really too much.
I mean, if you guys know more about Stacy X, please let us know, because we are just so lost on why this character was created in the first place.
From
Empowering.
what I've read, I don't think she's very empowering.
She's taking control of the sex industry. Like, I don't know. You said you found another one. Do you remember?
Well, talking about just like, other in other comics, Red Sonja created the bikini armor.
Yeah, we talked about that one.
She commits genocide and
and barely nothing.
The bikini bottom itself is like shaped like a bikini, but there's nothing that goes like, in between the crack.
There's no connection.
No connection. It literally dangles there like a loincloth.
I really wish you male viewers would speak up on this, because I really would love your opinions on the matter.
She's essentially free balling. I don't know if that is somehow effective for movement, or if it's literally just there for easy access.
I have no idea. I have no idea. Like, this is not even the worst outfit that we've seen. I mean, you spoke of a Japanese comic book that the woman literally walks around in a mask, gloves, and boots.
I want to save her for last.
Oh, okay.
She's real special.
She's very interesting.
There is a character called the Mandrill. And he's a baboon. There's women always like fawning over him because I guess he's the hottest thing.
Was he the
around.
one with the questionable nickname Monkey or something?
Oh no, that was Darwin.
Okay.
But I don't understand the sexualization of Mandrill.
He's just abandoned. Yeah.
Have you seen him?
No, I don't really think I want to either. Like, I don't. There's just some comics that I'm just like, pass.
There's this show called Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts. And if you've seen that show, there's a character called Charlemagne. And that's exactly what Mandrill looks like. And I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
I just don't understand. But anyways, back to other comics. Elektra was literally walking around in a toga thong for the longest time. They've updated her costume now. It's, pants and a mask. It's super cute. Love it. Functional. But in Japan, there was a comic book character named Keku Kamen. And her name literally translates to "I'm fine in just a mask."
Yeah.
And she has a move called the Ofiroji jump. And it's a attack on your face with her vagina.
It's just weird. Like, what are
it's
you guys thinking? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
um so I don't think there's anybody more sexualized than Miss Kekuo Kamen. I think she takes the cake.
Yeah, she's the one for the most cute. Like, oh my god, I can't even. I'm like crying because anyways. So, okay, let's wrap things up here, okay? So we've talked about the sexism in women in comic books. We've talked about, these questionable poses. We've talked about the questionable things that happen to women in comic books that are very unfortunate. We've talked about, is there a major difference between women being sexualized? Are men being sexualized too? There's just a lot of things going on in comic books. As we said before, it's a very, very shady past, but we are growing. We are getting better, right? So things are improving for sure. The thing that we want to leave you guys on a positive note. We've talked about some very interesting things. We want to leave you guys on a very positive note about women in the industry. You want to talk about our first, Gail Simone?
Yeah, Gail Simone. She created Domino, who is in the Deadpool comics, and she's very outspoken in the industry, and she reflects it in her work. She speaks about gender and race and sexuality, and I think what we talked about earlier is that Domino does the same thing.
She does the same thing.
Yeah, she's outspoken as well.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. There are a lot of women women superheroes that are very empowering, and they take control. We were talking the other day about women villains like Catwoman and who was your other favorite? The Poison Ivy. How they're just these very empowering, taking control, tired of the system, tired of the man, themselves kind of women. And even though they're these villains, that's empowering too, in a sense. Gail Simone is also the one, like we talked about earlier, who created the list, Women in Refrigerators. The women who were the characters placed in demeaning situations to motivate the male character to action. So Gail Simone is definitely an important icon in the industry. Another one of those we wanted to point out to you guys is Sue Deconnick. She is a self-proclaimed feminist. She has made it her goal as a comics creator to promote feminism and feminist ideas. So she's very much attacking the notion of the damsel in distress kind of stereotype, which I think is very awesome. She's also the one who began the hashtag movement, Visible Women movement on Twitter. That is to basically, say, women comic artists. There was this whole thing that went on about how women comic artists are rare in the industry, but the hashtag Visible Women movement is basically to show that there are so many women creators out there. And so what this started was all these women around the world on Twitter and saying, hey, look at my creation, look at my art, hashtag Visible Women. And it just created this huge movement, which was super cool. So yeah, that's definitely, that gave me chills. I don't know, I just think that that's just very influential, and it's just raising awareness that women are out there, and these women creators, they want to create these, stories and create these comics about women. And she also, something to note is she also has created an organization for women. It's a nonprofit, if you guys are interested. Creators for Creators. It provides grants and mentors to new female artists. So if any of you guys or any of you viewers out there, female artists, and you're interested in creating comics, or just being the creator, an artist, definitely check that out. Getting a grant or a mentor. Getting a mentor would be awesome. Yeah. So you guys might recognize her work, Captain Marvel. She did the Image comic series Bitch Planet. And she also, Bitch Planet is about non-compliant women sent to a correction facility on another planet for not following, patriarchy rules.
We love that.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
I was reading up about it, and they basically just talks about like they go there. It's like this prison world, and they just talk about like who they were before and how they've kind of grown and things like that. There is some nudity in that comic book, so just beware. Yeah. It's funny you say love, because we've been sitting here talking about sexism in comic books, girl. So
nudity is art, Tat.
Yeah, I mean, but we're sitting here talking about how women are portrayed poorly in comic books, and now you're going to sit here and tell me that it's art?
It's written by a woman. Definitely art.
So it makes it. I feel like we don't have time to get into this debate. But... So does it make it okay if it was written by a woman?
Yeah, because I don't feel like it comes from a sexualized place.
You think it comes from like more of an empowering place?
Maybe a little of that. Also, I don't know.
Is that like claiming the name? Like if someone, like if you use a negative name that people are stereotyped, and then that community of people are using that word because they're claiming the word, do you think that that's claiming the nudity or something? You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense?
Do you mean like reclaiming something?
Yeah.
Sure.
Reclaiming.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Reclaiming. Yeah. Sorry.
You're
reclaiming. Yeah. Reclaiming. Yeah. So you think that that's just like reclaiming the nudity, like reclaiming?
I think so. It's just different. It's a woman telling stories about women. And not necessarily
portraying them as like arm candy.
Yeah. Sex objects.
Yeah. I mean, I get where you're coming from. Totally. I do. I get it. And that makes sense to me. I mean, I think it's how they're being, like, why are they nude in the first place? Or why are they dressed as they are?
I'm sure the nudity makes sense.
Right. And okay, so I'm with you now.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe they were like that. I guess maybe we should find out more, and maybe we can talk about it later.
Yes.
So we are at our time. Unfortunately, I hope you guys have all been super quiet today. So I hope that's just that you've been enjoying the conversation versus anything else, which is okay. You can talk, you can listen, you can do whatever you want to. We're happy to just sit here and chit chat back and forth, whatever. But we are going to end on one thing. Superpower. Like, what would your superpower be, Lena?
Telepath, all the way.
Telepath. Why?
Because can control people that way. And before you ask me if I'm going to use them for good or evil, definitely evil.
You seem like a villain for sure. I mean, this is just from, the last 2 episodes. I don't know you that well, but yeah, let's just say.
I'm flattered. Thank you. Same for you.
If
superpowers, go.
Superpower, okay, so I'm kind of, stingy. Like, I want them all. Mimicry, like, I want to be able to, like, experience everybody's superpower. I don't want just one.
Greedy.
I want to be able to have. I'm greedy. I am super greedy. Yeah. Give me a little bit of everything. Yeah, for sure. So, you want to tell our viewers what the what our poll is this week?
Great question.
You're the one that came up with it.
I sure did. I sure did.
I think it was.
What was it?
Man, we were sitting here talking, and
it was. It came off the top of my head, and I was like, "Let's go with it."
Mm-hmm.
But what comes with those thoughts is that they usually just leave.
Okay, so let's think of something else. And that's okay. These things happen. Whatever. We move on. We create something else, right? So what can we do? What other poll can we do based on what we've talked about today? Maybe just putting it out there, like we've talked. Like, do you feel like women have been sexualized in comics? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Sure. I think that's a good poll. I mean,
I think
and
so.
I would. Yeah, I would definitely love to see you guys even discuss it in the comics. Oh my God, comments. In the comments section of the poll, like, get some words in. Like, I want to see you guys talk about this. I want to see, you guys discuss. And really get to the bottom of, like, do we think that women have been sexualized? We talked about how it's becoming better, but, we want to know your thoughts for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have anything before we wrap up?
I don't. No.
I think one more thing, men, take care of yourself. Definitely, make sure you're taking care of your mental health. Women, definitely, give yourself some extra care this month. It's Women History Month. You only have a few more days left. Maybe run a bubble bath, throw a bath bomb in there, and get a comic book, and
being a woman is a superpower. So congratulations.
Exactly. It is. Oh my gosh. That is a whole nother topic we could have talked about. Like, being a woman, period, is a superpower. There are so many things. Well, we'll have to talk about that next week. We have another mention in the chat. Nakia X-Man, resident comic expert here to enjoy the stream. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining our stream. We're very happy to have you, for sure. But yeah, we definitely need to. We're over our mark, so we definitely need to start wrapping things up here. Please check us out next week. We won't discuss the topic now. We always like to give a little linger. Don't forget to look around the set and see if you can find the Rise logo. Definitely, that's the $1,000 or 1,000 Linden gift card to Backbone. So you guys definitely want to get that in.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And again, last week was Linka, so she's won twice now. So you guys are just missing out. You guys need to get up in there and get those prizes. Well, we will definitely see you next week. Hopefully, Lena. We'll see if Lena will join us again. I want to just give a shout out to Salem before we leave. We're all thinking of you and your sister. Hopefully, that's all going well, and that you can come back and join us soon. Not that we don't enjoy having our guest hosts, our host guests, or us hosts, joining us. But we do miss you, Salem, for sure. But yeah, we hope you guys have a good one, and we're out.
Bye. You think Jordan's gonna give me $1,000?
He might.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll and on we'll through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And